Prime for Cantu. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the Night Flier, Stephen King's The Night Flier from 1997, which I did see this back in the day. I remember hating the film. I don't know if I would say I hate the film as much as I did. I do think it's a movie that I don't know if I could get really a lot of rage out of it because I get what they were doing more so now. You have the bloodsucker of the tabloid versus an actual bloodsucker, and one isn't really that much better than the other. It's just the ending. I just wish certain things were done at the ending. And I think the movie could have been an episode of like a Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. Because I don't think there's enough story there for a full-length movie. I think there's enough story there for an episode, a 1 hour or 45, 50-minute episode of a show. I did Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. The idea is a bit strange at first. You have this creature. The face is on the poster, so if you see the thumbnail of the poster, you've seen the look of the creature's face. He wears a Bela Lugosi Dracula cape and gear, and he flies around this little plane. He goes from place to place. He has a bite to eat. Meanwhile, Miguel Ferrer, he's the reason this is worth a watch, at the very least. But I really like him as an actor. I really do. I always found him underrated. He was in RoboCop. He was in Deep Star 6. This is a guy that I wish he had got a lot of starring roles. A lot more. Sadly, he's passed away. He was, I think, the cousin of George Clooney. But a very talented actor. He was in Stephen King's The Stand. The original The Stand. He plays a photographer who's gruff. He's gruff, he's cold, he's willing to take pictures of dead babies if he needs to. He's a scummy guy. He's a scummy, gruff, asshole, piece of shit guy. But Miguel Ferrer plays him very well. He is very just cynical, and this new girl that's on the team, he's like, keeps calling her Jimmy, like Jimmy Olsen. Never believe what you publish, never publish what you believe. Like, he's definitely an asshole, unlikable, but yet interesting. I at least found him interesting, mainly because of Miguel Ferrer's performance. And the thing is, I wanted to see like I wanted to see a TV series of the guy. Like, if this was like a weird take on Kolchak the Night Stalker, but not called Kolchak. Don't call it Kolchak, but like a different take on a Kolchak the Night Stalker type, where you have this guy who, hell, he may be worse than the stories he's in. And maybe you have monsters that go, man, you're scarier than I am. But there's a line he doesn't cross where, he doesn't kill anyone, but he'll fucking curse out, drink, be cynical, take pictures of dead bodies. There's a bit later on that there's a tombstone. It's not a good enough picture. He cuts his finger to put blood on the gravestone to have a better picture. I mean, that's desecrating a fucking grave. That's really, he'll say, like, if you want a friend, buy a dog. And he'll say when because he can fly a plane too, and he's trying to chase the story. Oh, they shut him down faster than you can say a bumfuck county man. Miguel Ferrer is relishing the role. He really is. And it's like, I want to see a whole show of this guy. And the ending, again, if it went a different way, I probably would like this more. But he's not a likable guy. That's why, in fairness, he does deserve his fate. He does, if you think about it for a sec, he does deserve what he gets. So that's why, I mean, can't really get too mad at the ending, to be fair. But I don't think there's enough story in the middle to harbor a full-length motion picture. Some people start dying, he's on the job. First there was this new girl, but then he takes a job and the new girl's out. But then the new girl's back in. He talks to a mechanic. The mechanic has an accent that sounds like Fred Gwynn. Remember the original Pet Sematary? That thing over there. Sometimes dead is better. Like the mechanic has the same accent. I don't know about that plane there. Those two people were talking over there. And almost like trying to be Stephen Mott from Graveyard Shift. Have you ever run the picker? No one's been down there since Christ was a kid. Bravo, it's just your star suit, but definitely not as good as Stephen Mott, Stephen King's Graveyard Shift. Definitely not as good as that, but I mean, he definitely had a thick accent. There's a couple decent gore bits. After Effect, mainly. At the beginning, there's a guy that gets his face cut, scratched. There's a nice After Effect where a guy's gotten his throat ripped out. Pretty good practical effect. There's a couple moments of that. It does feel like a TV production at times. I've read other people say they notice boom mics. I didn't notice that, but I'm bad at finding that type of stuff. I am. I'm really bad at finding those type of technical mistakes, but apparently a bunch of other people said they saw them. At least like during the office scenes with Miguel Ferrer and his boss and others. I couldn't see them, but I didn't. Maybe you would. Sometimes there's moments that made me go, huh? Spoilers, getting more into spoilers. There's a bit where the vampire's flying a plane. And then he senses, I guess just senses Miguel Ferrer. Then the next bit is that he has a nightmare. He wakes up and blood has been painted on his window that says, "Stay away." Does that mean he physically turned the plane, physically flew all the way back, then walked up and did that? Because if not, then why the fuck does he need a plane in the first place? If he did do that, that seems like a big waste of time just to do that. Just do it in the next crime scene you're at. You could do initials. You know, stay the fuck away from me. Blah, blah. And then Miguel Ferrer looks at it. Then maybe he looks at his driver's license or something. I don't know. Whose initials are there? Or that? They're mine. But the fact that the vampire must have turned the fucking plane around, flew all the way back, landed somewhere, walked all the fucking way. And again, if you're telling me he didn't do that, why would he need a plane in the first place? It is a bit weird that you have a vampire that dresses like Bela Lugosi, but he needs a little dinky plane to fly. A little dinky. I mean, it's a bit... It could come off as kind of laughable. It kind of can. But, I mean, the director, for the low budget he had... The fact he never directed again, at least I don't think so. If he did, I didn't see them. Was it Mark Pavia? Maybe he did do something. I don't know for sure. I mean, I've seen worse. But it does have a bit of a lower like TV production vibe to it. I mean, there's a random bit where there's a car crash, pile up. He goes in to take pictures. He even says, "Looks like bonus day." And in the further showcase just how much of a You remember that movie Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal? Miguel Ferrer would fit in that type of character. Like, he's never killed anyone, but you would not be surprised if he decided on that. There's also, I mean, there's spoilers. There's also an interesting bit where he lands and there's like the airport of the dead. There's all these dead bodies. So he runs to the bathroom, to wash himself up, and he sees in the mirror someone pissing blood. But there's no one there. So now you know that vampires piss, and when they do piss, they piss blood. It's not Kool-Aid. It's not Hawaiian Punch, but vampires do piss. I guess if you drink that much blood, it's got to come out somehow. I just never thought of vampire pissing, but I know now. Vampires do piss. And I kind of like the idea that the vampire says, like, we are brothers in blood. We are we are brothers in blood, and I'm not going to kill you. I fed well tonight, but do not follow me anymore. But he's too obsessed. He's too obsessed with this. I mean, it reminds of a story he told earlier about this other reporter where all the crazy shit started to make sense, and she was found with a bag over her head in the bathtub. This person was, granted this is real, but too obsessed, led to his downfall. And then you get to the ending where the vampire shows his face, which is on the poster. So, great job on the marketing, giving that away. Makes Miguel Ferrer drink his blood, the vampire's blood. And then Miguel has this weird hallucination of all these dead bodies as vampires. And he tries to chop them. But in reality, he's just chopping the dead bodies. And the cops come. And he's still deranged. And he gets shot. And then the female reporter's there. And because the guy kept fucking with her, she decides, turn the story around. He was the Night Flier. He was the killer. And she gets the front page. So, I guess she learned that. I mean, again, it seems like a Tales from the Crypt episode lengthened to 90 minutes. And I don't think it needed to be that long. I just don't think there's enough story there. Like I said, it's not the biggest budgeted movie. Again, I don't know. There's some people that may not get over the whole dresses like, the cape and stuff, but, flies his little teeny plane. Miguel Ferrer, at the very least, is worth a watch for him. I actually would have liked it if it ended with Miguel Ferrer winning, where you think the vampire has him, but then Miguel Ferrer beats him, kills him, takes pictures of him, but then no one believes it. They just believe he's a fucking crazy nut. And because to me it would symbolize real life bloodsuckers, real life scum beats supernatural any day. Because that scum sucker is out there in reality. And reality is much scarier than fantasy. And reality wins. He may be a prick, cynical, and an uncaring asshole, but that's the real bloodsuckers. That's the real bloodsuckers out here. You think the vampire is bad? No. The tabloid, that's the real bloodsucker. And they're the ones that don't, they're the cockroaches that will get back up. I think if you ended in that kind of way, I think it actually would have been more interesting. It would have been a bit, I don't want to say funnier, but it would have been, I think, more unexpected in a way. I mean, I guess technically people would not expect, But again, with the fact that he's so unlikable, he's so much of a piece of shit, you know, yeah, he's going to get his comeuppance. Again, if you're, I keep going back to that Tales from the Crypt, kind of that moral judgment vibe to it. Maybe it's hard for me to think of that because I've seen this film before, so I knew how it ended. But again, it's a movie that has a kind of interesting, peculiar story. Like I said, the direction, I've seen much worse direction. Like when it does show the hallucination, it's in black and white. You have these fog mist machines, people with makeup. Even one of them, his eyes start fluttering like a flashes of a camera to, which is ironic, doing that to Miguel Ferrer, whose life is taking pictures. So now it's going back to him, and again, the vampire's eyes. Again, this is during his whole hallucination stuff. I thought that was a bit, that was one of the more stylish sequences in the movie. That was interesting to see. And like I said, there's a couple of good lines. I do like the, never publish what you, never believe what you publish, never publish what you believe. Miguel Ferrer was a real scum sucker piece of shit character, but he was still an interesting scum sucker. And again, part of me's like, if you want the bad guy to win, I want that bad guy to win in a way. Like I said, that'd be an interesting story where you have an unlikable protagonist, but at least he's interesting. Like an even more cynical House MD from that TV show House, like an even more cynical bastard than him. And again, where people will be afraid, like the monster's gonna be afraid of him. I didn't go into that whole, it's the real bloodsucker you gotta worry about, not the fantasy, movie monster. That the reality is a lot scarier thing. I kind of would like to have seen that motif, but I mean, it's based on Stephen King's. I don't know the story, like the original short story. I don't know what that was. I know there was supposed to be a sequel at one point in the 2000s. The director actually met with Stephen King, and Stephen King actually wanted to write the script for a sequel, and it would star the female reporter. I guess her going after the vampire. I guess. Which then made me go, well, would it be a remake? I mean, well, not a remake, but would it be like the same bit? Would there be other twists and turns? I don't know. Would it go into maybe the backstory of the Night Flier, which I don't know if we really needed that. I mean, to me though, without Miguel Ferrer, a sequel would be pointless, because he is what makes the film. If anyone does like the film, it's going to be because of him. At least that's what I believe. It's not, you know, it's not a film I'm a big fan of, but I don't hate it as much as I used to. It's just, there's other vampire films I like much, much more. The original Fright Night, and From Dusk Till Dawn, and Fright Night Part 2, and The Lost Boys, John Carpenter's Vampires. But it's not the worst either. It's not vampires. It's not... I forgot. You know, I like it more than the Fright Night remake. I like it more than the Fright Night 2 direct-to-video sequel. I like it more than Lost Boys 2, was it The Tribe? Lost Boys 3 I like more than this. The Thirst. I actually think Lost Boys 3 is a decent sequel. That's actually a decent vampire film. Lost Boys The Thirst. That's underrated. That's above this. I think the only Stephen King story that dealt with vampire was Salem's Lot. And you know what? I don't remember Salem's Lot. I remember not being a big fan of it. It just wasn't my cup of tea. I just not into it. I guess I would say I like this more than Salem's Lot. I never saw the Rob Lowe one, but I never wanted to. It's a mini series, and I just don't know if this story. I know it was a long book, but I still don't know if this story needs this much running time. It's like Needful Things. Like, Needful Things is an interesting idea. I don't know if it needed that much running time. I just, well, to be fair, I'm telling him, that's not really fair. I'm telling him, there was an extended version. That's the one I saw. So, maybe that's not fair to say. But, I'm going off tangent. I don't mind Stephen King adaptations. I love Graveyard Shift. I love Maximum Overdrive, which he directed. It's a fucking fun movie. But I like Silver Bullet. I like Cujo. I like Christine. I like Cat's Eye. I like a lot of that stuff, but this one, it's not one of his worst. I mean, it's better than Thinner. I'll put it better than Thinner. Because technically, I mean, this guy's a bastard, and I don't know, I mean, although, I don't know. I think I'm going off tangent. Get back to the Night Flier. Watch the trailer. If this is your cup of tea, feel free. If not, yeah. Rest in peace, Miguel Ferrer. That's how I ended. Good actor. I wish he'd have more starring roles. He was in this other one called The Harvest, about organ group of people that take organs from people and black market organ harvesting. It was a pretty meh direct-to-video cheapo film, like pretty forgettable, mediocre movie. And yeah, it's sad that Miguel Ferrer just did not get to be the star of a lot of movies, because I think he had a good acting chops. I really do. But I know he worked a lot on TV before he passed away. I forget what the show was, though. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Miss Miguel. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.